morning, lovely people. How are you today? I hope you're well. The sun's coming out. Oh, it's a joy to see. It's been so wet for days and days and days. I promise soon we will get back to the garden and be outside, but it's just been too sodden. And quite a few of the things I want to do in the garden involve me putting a fork into beds, and I really don't want to do that while it's so wet and sticky and heavy out there. So, as mentioned in the previous video, still at home, obviously, I thought I'd go through my seeds for 2021. Yay! Just before I do, because I suddenly remembered, and I'll remind all of you, it's time to start collecting your loo roll innards, the tubes from your loo rolls again. Because, should I have to pop the light on this? I don't know if this light will help. Yeah, is that help at all? I'm not sure. We're going to be getting to that time before we know it where we're starting seeds, and loo roll innards are a great little pot to start things in. So for instance, if you keep it whole like that, it's great for things with where you want long roots, peas, beans, flint corn. I always start my flint corn in them, or chop them in half to start littler things. Right, let's get stuck in. I'm going to tip you, I don't know how best to do this. Let's start here as we are. Now, there's a couple of seeds you won't see here. One, the calendula. There's a tray behind you in the window. There's another tray over there. I still need to sort them, the wheat from the chaff, as it were. What else won't you see? The Churchill black climbing beans, which are actually down in the shed. Trying those for the first time. They're from a plot neighbour. You won't see my broad bean seeds because I've sown them. They are a mixture of Aquadulce Claudia and Super Aquadulce, which are pretty much bog standard broad beans for autumn sowing. So obviously they're already in the ground. The reason they're a mixture is because I've saved my own over the years and they've got mixed up. Doesn't matter, they do the same thing. And of course the garlic. And again, the garlic, I can't tell you a variety because it's my own saved cloves from last year. Well, they were harvested in May. I hold a few bulbs back every year to then plant again in October. I don't know what they are. My garlic. Okay, so that's that dealt with. So a lot of this is my saved seed. Some of it is shared seed. Some of it is my seed orders which have arrived. It's a real mishmash, but now they're all here. Literally the minute I've stopped filming with you, one of my jobs for today will be to write down my sewing schedule. I'll do that based on two things. One, my notes. Remember I was showing you my notebook where I've written down over the years my seed sowing times. It allows me to know what works for me here in my climate. Of course, the weather may change from year to year, but shouldn't change so dramatically that it's going to alter my sowing times. So I'll use my own experience and my own notes, plus obviously if it's something new to me, I'll look on the back of the packet and let the packet tell me. Right, should we get stuck in? Let's see if we can just do it this way. So let us begin with, so many here, going to rattle through them. I'm going to hold, actually a lot of the packets are my own boring brown packets, but I'm going to hold the packet up to the screen so you can see what it is, and either if you want to pause to make a note of it, great. So let's start with the tomato bed, which always has all sorts in it. So starting with peppers. So these are all sweet peppers. I don't grow chili peppers. I'm not particularly a fan of heat, but I do love the flavour of peppers. So I should be growing Feher Ozen. That's my Hungarian paprika pepper. my du long des Landes. That's my long, skinny French sweet pepper. That's your Basque region pepper. And my good old orange bell peppers. Fab. This is all seed saved from last year, so great. The more I can save, the more of my own I can save, the less expensive my seed bill is. Then, oh, I haven't even written on here, I'm so sorry. This is my cucumbers. It's the same as I do each year because I save my seed from year to year. This, I think, is going to now be my 7th generation of saved seed. This is a variety called Long Green Marichere. It's actually, in French, it's Vert Long Marichere. You will find it in the UK under the name Long Green, and the word looks like Marichere. Cucumbers. Now, tomatoes. Every year I say I'm not going to experiment, I'm not going to try anything different, and then each year I find something else I like to do. But my absolute bog standard stalwart is Gardener's Delight. They are a cherry, but they come up big. They're bigger than it. It's more like a salad tomato. Great for preserving, great for bottling, slightly higher acid. Brilliant. And then for my big ones, I should say with all my tomatoes, I grow cordon types, as in up, rather than bush types. It just means I can get more plants into a smaller space. Again, back to what I was talking about with planning. Think vertical, you get loads more in. So these, again, 2 biggies, perfect for preserving. I've got my Amish paste. They were new to me last year, thank you, Paul. Loved them, keeping them. Then I've got my Rose de Berne. This is one that I brought back from France. Again, love it. Great for bottling, great for preserving. Then these are fab, just little pick 'em, eat 'em salads. It doesn't have an official name. I'm just calling it orange cherry. It was an orange cherry, which self-seeded from the previous year. It self-seeded last year. It really wanted to grow, so I've saved some seeds. Brilliant. Another Gardener's Ecstasy. Again, it's a small cherry, but it was prolific, so nice for having fresh, for having raw. The bigger ones I save for preserving for winter and spring use, but the Gardener's Ecstasy, a lovely fresh picker. This, again, no idea what it is. I've just called it self-plum because it's a little orange plum tomato. It self-seeded in my garden last year from the previous year. It came true. It obviously wants to grow. I'm saving the seeds. Great. So that's the peppers, cukes, tomatoes, squash. I love my squash, absolutely love my squash, but so leftover from last year, I've got a couple of my Waltham butternuts. So I have bought another packet because I know I'll need more. Squash is something, it's not worth bothering saving seeds because the chances of them coming, they cross-pollinate so easily. And because I grow variety, plus all my neighbours are growing different types, the chances of my saved seeds coming true, nigh on zilch. I have a few various gifted / leftovers. I've got a delicata. They never do well for me, but I've got some seed left over, so I'll bung it in. This, you can't read the packet now because I tore the top off. Jack be little. I think rather than as a feed, these are a bit more ornamental. Oh, I've just had an idea where I might put them. The tromboncino that was sent to me last year, none of them germinated. I'll try again. There's some other random bits and bobs I'll show in more detail when I sow them. But also I think I've got 1 or 2 seeds left of the Rouge Vif de Tempe, which came originally from Michelle. Thank you so much over in the States. That's the Cinderella Pumpkin. Grow on every year just for the joy of seeing it. And then new to me this year, I've gone for Futsu Black, and Sweet Dumpling. Now I believe these are both trailing varieties, so they ought to be able to grow up my deep peas in my vegetable cathedral. Again, the fruits aren't too huge, which is great for 1 or 2. And also in terms of the plant supporting the weight of that when it's dangling in the air. So I'm looking forward to trying those. Yay! In terms of seed companies, so I'm using Seed Co-operative again this year. I love their seeds, I love their ethics, everything about them I love. These are all organic, of course. Also I'm using Vital Seeds. I might have some dribs and drabs left over from Real Seeds, from the Organic Gardening catalogue, and of course all of my own save seeds, of course, are organic too. Right, moving into the sort of salady, leafy area. This has just reminded me. So this is my celery that I saved. So the celery was sown and enjoyed in 2019. It go into its second year, so overwintered. I kept using it over the winter. Then in 2020, did I say 2019, I sowed them. And then in 2020 is when it threw up its flower spikes. So I left one plant in to give me flower spikes to harvest seed from, and I got tons. And I bumped into Gary the other day outside the post office, and I must remember to decant some of these for him because he'd like to have some this year. Then let's see, lettuce. Let's show you lettuces. So I've got the some leftover. This is called, I think these were given to me last year. It says so by January 2021. What the heck year are we in? That's now. Never mind, I'll give them a go anyway. Red salad bowl. I wasn't able to find any. What's the name of the what? I forgot the name of what I grew last 2 years ago. Doesn't matter. I like a mix in my salads between green and red. So this is a sort of a butter lettuce, a flashy, what's it called? Flashy Lightning. Again, new to me this year. And these look gorgeous. Again, it's another butter lettuce. Merveille de quatre saisons. Oh, I love it. It says it's slow to bolt and it's suitable for spring until autumn cropping. Fantastic. I'll give a little bit more detail all of these when we come to sow. This is just an overview of everything I've got. Spinach, I've got butterfly. It's not exactly a perennial spinach, but it's more like a perennial spinach than your regular spinach. So I'm hoping it won't bolt, and I'm hoping it will go into, well, it should go into autumn and winter for me, because all of these lettucey things, these will do me grand in the summer and early autumn. Then as we go into winter, I like to have a nice fleshy leaf that's not brassica, as a change from brassica. And speaking of the fleshy leaves, I've got a little bit left over of the beautiful rainbow chard, but I love it so much. Just as a backup, I've got another packet. You've seen in my most recent tour video how beautifully well that does over winter for me. And like I say, it's nice to have the spinach chard leaves on top of having all the brassicas, because it's that different taste, different texture. As much as I love my brassicas, I probably would be happy to eat them every day. It's nice to pop these in for a change. I've got enough. The beetroot didn't do brilliantly for me last year. It might have been the heat and drought at the time when I sowed them, but I've got plenty left over in there. It's good old Boltardi, really common. I think we've probably all grown Boltardi at some point. Enough left over. And I think I had some left over, but I'm going with the Fino Florence Fennel again. And this is the one I've still got in the garden wintering. Not the ones Mark gave to me. That is called Mont Blanc. But this was my really late sowing because I did 3 sowings in the end because of the slugs. And they didn't bolt and they're growing away beautifully. So I think with these this year, I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to do quite an early sowing to get some for summer, and then I'm going to do a second sowing towards the end I'm going to look in my notes to see when I did my 3rd sowing, but I'll do 2 sowings of it this year and hopefully get 2 crops. Fingers crossed. Good, that's all the leafy stuff. Roots, we've got parsnip, good old tender and true, absolute bog standard. They do well in my soil. Well, I mean, I get a mixture of beautiful roots and then a snubby, knobby, gnarly, or fur coat and no knickers one, but you know, I like them, stick with them. And then 2 of the same, 2 packets of Autumn King. I hope it doesn't take me 2 packets to get a harvest this year. I wonder how many seeds are in here. Does it say? Quite often they'll say number of seeds per packet. It doesn't appear to say. Anyway, and I think, again, I'll check my tin. That's why it's a good sorting day today. I may have a few left over. Oh, I can't remember who it was now. Someone sent me a packet right late in the season, and that's what I chucked in that bed where I've got the chard and the spinach. I think I've got some of those left over. So hopefully I've got more than enough seed. If I can get them going in 1 or 2 sowings rather than in 3 or 4, that should do me. That's my roots. Right, brassicas, mainstay of my garden in the winter, mainstay of my diet in the winter. Love them, love them, love them. Of course, I've got my Cavallo Nero, although what do Co-operative call Nero di Toscana? Nero di Toscana, Cavallo Nero, it's all the same thing. Black kale, but this is the one that grows nice and tall and slim, so again you can pack more in. Kale, I've got some red curly kale. This year I had green curly kale. It's nice to have the red just because it's another different colour in the garden, because there's a lot of green in the garden over winter, well hopefully, but yeah, chuck a bit of red in there, fab. And then again I've got all sorts of bits of leftover, because the thing with the brassica seeds, we do tend to get a lot in the packet. There are some years I don't buy any brassica seeds. In fact, I think that's the only 2 packets I've bought this year, because generally there are enough leftovers. So I've got various calibres there. This is from, I can't remember the name of it, Botanical Interests over in the States. I think we've seen the end of seeds moving across the planet for now. I've got some, that's more calibres, a sprouting summer broccoli. I don't think I did that last year. Some early sprouting broccoli, fab. This is a little bit of leftover. Again, that's a broccoli. And then of course, I also have this year from Paul the Portuguese cabbage. This is almost like a perpetual. It will go on and on and on. Harvest a leaf here, a leaf there. You're getting your cabbage leaf, but you're not harvesting the whole head. So again, for a small garden, great. It's a cut and come again. Rather like the perpetual kale, the Taunton Dean. So although, I mean, they get to be big, big plants, but, you know, brassicas take up quite a lot of space. And if you've only got space to plant one, plant something that's either perpetual like the Taunton Dean kale, or at least a cut and come again, like Portuguese cabbage or the Cavallo Nero. Harvest a few leaves at a time, leave the plant alone, it'll keep sprouting for you. Yay! Oh, we're almost there. Just, oh, beans. Oh, one last, oh yes, a chopcha. I'll have another go on the deck somewhere. This is the sort of Peruvian, when you eat it really little, it's got a cucumbery taste, have it raw. When it's mature, it's got more of a pepper taste. It didn't do very well for me last year at all. I think they got really, they were in pots on the deck, and I think I just couldn't keep on top of watering enough for them, and I think they just got so stressed. I had a really meagre harvest towards the end of the season, real tiddlers. But I've got seed, they can go in. Right, finally, nearly finally, Esther. This is I've just grabbed this from the kitchen to remind me, this is some of my, this is some of my flint corn that I use for grinding to make a sort of flour, or you can pop it. I need to remind myself to siphon some of these off for sowing, seed sowing, rather than eating them all. I did that one year. What did I do it with? I think it was all my broad beans, wasn't it? About 3 or 4 years ago. I forgot to save any for seed. I scoffed the blooming lot. Right, beans. Not many changes this year, so let's go through the old stalwarts. Let's look first of all at bush beans. Where have we got them? I've got more beans here than I need. It's another job to do this week, is to divvy them up. I've got some earmarked for friends, and then the rest I'll divvy into packets to go into my shop. That won't be, excuse me, until about the end of January, beginning of February, but it's plenty of time for you guys to get hold of them before they need sowing. I'll make a little announcement about it on Facebook so you'll know when it is. So, bush beans. I have got my absolute all-time favourite bean. Look at my label. It's Coco de Pampol. I adore my Coco de Pampol. I've got more seed this year than I intended because of the drought. I missed quite a big harvest of them demi-sec. Talk more about that as the year goes on, but yes, Coco de Pampol for the bean, and then these are the lovely, these are the lovely Rockencore, and this one I grow for the whole pod. This is the yellow, waxy, gorgeous. I like my French beans. So that's my bush beans. That's it for bush beans. Then I have got these, I'll come to the new ones finally. This is my Gigantes. Yum, yum, yum. Now with these, I will have a few left over. I'm probably going to want to eat them. No, I've got a folk to share them with, but yes, the Gigantes, these are all climbers now, as I said. Gigantes, Borlotti, Trail of Tears. The jars I'm showing you here, I've got about 3 or 4 more of each. They're still in the kitchen, yes. Trail of Tears. And these are all beans that I grow to pod, to have the bean out, rather than to have the pod itself. Then Coco Sophie, which is very closely related to the Coco de Pampol, but it climbs, hopefully more bang for your buck. And then finally, my new ones for this year, both from Paul. One of these, one I'm about to show you, came from Shaz. So thank you, Shaz, and thank you, Paul. It's just good old standard Scarlet Emperor runner beans. Now, runner beans, I'm not a huge fan of because they're stringy. But if you get them when they're really young and tender, beautiful. But what I tend to grow them for is I let them get really big, almost like really gnarly in their pods. Massive big fat beans inside, pod the beans, and then I freeze the beans, and I use them exactly as I would say kidney beans. So I use them in chili and, well, all sorts of everything. Now, I didn't grow any runner beans last year because the previous year my entire runner bean harvest, every seed I sowed, they all got decimated by the slugs. So I didn't have a harvest to eat, and I didn't have any to save seeds from. But last year, on my site, where all my gorgeous, lovely heirlooms and slightly unusual things, whatever, really struggled, it seemed that on my site, everybody else's runner beans, bog standard runner beans, did absolutely fine. So I think I've mentioned this to Paul, that I wouldn't normally bother with runner beans. I'm not you know, I'd rather have all my others, but this is a backup, it's a safety net, so that if we have another ghastly drought year again, then hopefully I will at least have some runners. And then the other one, which I'm really excited, is again from Paul, Madeira Maroon, and it's another climber. I seem to remember they came quite early on the plants for Paul last year, so, oh my goodness, look, can you see? Oh, I'm blinded. That sun's really coming through now. Yeah, I seem to remember they came through early, or they seem to be prolific for Paul, so I'm really looking forward to trying some of those as well. And now I've got that wonderful task of getting my plan out, which gosh, I'm gonna have to come over here, sorry. Getting out my plan, just having another look at the plan in terms of the seeds I've ordered and bought new this year. I pretty much know where everything's going, but it's just going to be a case of where I've got these extras that were unexpected, so 2 types of beans and the Portuguese cabbage. Have another look at my plan and think, where are these going to go? If I plant these, does it mean I have to do less of something else, or can I get these in on top of all that I normally do? We'll see. So yes, back to the plan now to just double check that I'm happy that I've got everything I'd like for the year. And to be honest, if I have forgotten something, I probably won't do anything about it, because there are more than enough seeds here to feed me for a year. And that's what I'm doing, so that's fine. Plan, tick. And then the last thing today will be to do my sewing schedule, just to remind me, oh, that's February, that's March, and what have you. And then the final thing is I'll have one pile of seeds, which I keep here, and that's for all my indoor sewings. I'll do at home, obviously, indoors. And then the rest of these now will go back to the allotment, into the shed where it's nice and chilly, perfect temperature to keep them all at. And that'll be it. And then, woo! All I need to do now is prepare some beds, get sewing, We're months away from that. There's no hurry. Yay! So, well, I hope that's been of interest. I hope, you know, for some of you who've watched the garden over the last year and thought, oh, I like, you know, especially the paprika pepper. Everyone seems to love those gorgeous little pixie-shaped paprika peppers in those gorgeous oranges and reds. I hope it's of interest if you've followed before and not been quite sure what it is that I grow. Now you can see what I grow. Couple of new things this year in terms of varieties rather than new vegetables, completely new vegetables. Keeping it simple, raring to go, holding myself back. All right, lovelies, I hope the next time you see me, I will be in the garden. We will be in the garden together. Hopefully we'll be out there doing something, because the other thing is I realise quite a few of the recent videos have been quite wordy rather than doey. It's just the nature of the time and the rhythm of the garden year that there's a lot to talk about. And like I said, the ground is so saturated. There's not much doing for now. Soon, hopefully. Okay, guys, I really hope you've either A, been able to get all the seeds you're after, or, you know, swapped. This is the thing about seed saving as well, isn't it? When we save our own, we can save considerably more than we actually need, and then we can disseminate them to friends, either for swaps or just give whatever it is. So I hope you've got the seeds you're after. I know I don't really want to bang on about it, but in the UK, obviously, we've gone into lockdown again. I hope that the seed companies will be able to, I believe garden centres are still operating, maybe on delivery only, I'm not sure, but get in touch with your seed companies, see where they're at in terms of are they able to fulfil orders. Hopefully you can get everything you need in the next few weeks. But remember as well that the vast majority of the stuff, we're not even going to be thinking about sowing until end of March into April. So if you haven't got your seeds yet, don't panic. Talk to friends on your allotment site if you garden communally. It may be that people have got spares. I don't think seed swapping events are going to be happening this spring because of people being together, but you could always put a note on local Facebook groups, that sort of thing, to see if anyone's got anything spare. Either way, hopefully you can get your seeds sorted soon, get your sowing schedule sorted, and it'll keep you out of mischief until it is time to actually do any sowing. On that note, I'm going to say cheerio to you all. Please stay well, stay out of mischief, or should I say stay in mischief, good mischief. And I'll see you all again really soon, I hope. Until then, take care. Bye for now.